So my name is Cameron Cartiere, and I'm an associate professor at Emily Carr University of Art and Design. And the title of the exhibition, For All Is For Yourself, actually comes or was inspired by this amazing poster that I found from the 1920s. That was a poster that motivated the workers. So one's able to see that in the exhibition, but that's where the title comes from. So the piece was begun months and months ago with a series of workshops. So we worked with community members and school groups to create handmade recycled seed paper. So we brought recycled paper from Emily Carr and recycled paper from the city of Richmond, blended that together to make our own pulp. And then we had a whole portable system where we helped people make sheets of paper, which were embedded with seed. The seed that we're using is a yellow alyssum called Basket of Gold, incredibly bee-friendly and comes up quite easily. And so it was an opportunity at that stage to talk to people about recycling, to talk to people about seed distribution as well. So you wanted to put very little seed on the paper so it could actually germinate. And oftentimes people will get a little packet of seeds and they'll think, oh, that's only going to cover, the size of my kitchen table, when actually it would cover the size of their entire kitchen. So we're helping people to visually understand that. And then as each sheet was finished, we'd stack it up and we'd take it back to our studio where we would hang it up on clotheslines to dry. And then we had designed part of one of the members of our collective, of the Chart Collective, incredible graphic designer and illustrator named Derwin Tellen. So he helped me with the bee design. So it's a model of a Western bumblebee, which is our most fragile or close to endangered bumblebee here in British Columbia. And so we designed the bee and took it to a local bindery who then laser cut 10,000 bees for us from the sheets. And the sheets themselves, we're going to reuse those in another project. So the entire process has been almost beyond cradle to cradle. Everything that we have utilized will have a full life cycle. There's zero waste in this project. The other part of the installation is the bumblebee nest or hive. And a bumblebee nest is very different than a honeybee comb. So honeybees, they're very organized, they're hexagons, and it's that grid that everybody's familiar with. But a bumblebee nest is much more amorphous and natural. It looks more like popcorn gone crazy. And so from photographs that I had, we designed the bumblebee nest, again, through an illustration program, and it's been laser cut onto panels of sustainable birch ply. So then when the show travels, we'll be able to take the mural with us. So the bumblebee mural goes up first, and then each of the bees, all 10,000 of them, are individually pinned as you would find a specimen bee in a collection. So this exhibition comes out of some work that we're doing, creating pollinator pastures. And so the pollinator pastures are neglected greenways that we're developing using public art as the driver for change. And so we have a pasture over in East Richmond at the Bridgeport Industrial Park. And we've been working with the public art program, the sustainability unit, and the Parks Department to create this huge 2.6 acre pasture. And so I had mentioned earlier, my collaborator, Brian Campbell, he's a bee master, but he also is the head of seeds at West Coast Seeds. So he and I worked together to create this palette of native seeds that are incredibly bee friendly and help other pollinators, wild pollinators, thrive as well. And we've created this pasture that will next year come up as bumblebee wings. It'll look almost like stained glass. So each section of it will have flowers of different colors, but they'll bloom in succession. So as one, say, yellow flower comes up and starts to fade, the next yellow flower comes up, and the same in the pink section. It's a public work that you're able to walk through, but also we're in the flight path for YVR Airport, so you'll be able to see it from the plane as well. And the idea to connect the two was that people might get to the pasture, but they wouldn't necessarily be able to take that experience away. Or how do we bring people, say, who are in West Richmond, who might come, to the gallery but not know that this is happening? And how do you get a pasture to travel? And so that was sort of the inspiration to think about the idea of a portable pasture, and that's where the seed paper came from. So, these ideas sort of evolve. We have a sister project in Kelowna, and so we have another pasture up there. So this exhibition will travel up to that exhibition. That idea of being able to take a bit of the pasture home will happen here at the gallery as well. And so towards the end of the exhibition, we'll have an event where we can let half of the colony of paper bees swarm. So go out into the community. So people will be invited to come and take a bee, and they'll either be able to keep that as a memento or quite literally plant it in the garden to see what happens. And then the remaining colony will travel up to, we'll split the hive in a way, and it'll travel up to Kelowna to be exhibited next summer. But in the interim, part of our team will go up and work with members of the community in Kelowna to create their own seed paper and build the colony back up to another, to 10,000 again with Kelowna paper bees. And then we'll bring the two together and let them swarm. So we created the pollinator pasture because our bee population is really in danger. And I think a lot of people are not aware that the issue isn't just about honeybees. Honeybees get a lot of press because we all want honey. I love honey. But native pollinators are just as important. They do a tremendous amount of work. There's an expression, 1 every 3 bites that you eat is thanks to a bee. That's not just a honeybee. That's all bees. We have hundreds of different types of native bees in British Columbia alone. And so I really wanted to put the focus on the importance of those native pollinators, particularly the bumblebee. And the bumblebee, unlike the honeybee, is a real worker. Those bees will be out there whether it's windy or rainy or cold. Honeybees, they like perfect conditions to go out and work. They're kind of fair weather bees. But bumblebees, sweat bees, leafcutter bees, they're out there all the time. And bumblebees particularly are important for things like blueberry crops, tomatoes, different things like that. So it's really important that we're looking at all the pollinators and the impact that they have on our food system. So that's part of why the emphasis is on native pollinators. That brings us to the work that we're doing in the pollinator pasture. And so when people go to visit the pasture, they'll see at one end a wild apiary. So an apiary is basically the home for the bees. For beekeepers, those are the beehives. For native bees, people often refer to them as insect hotels. And native bees need all sorts of different types of habitat. And so when people go out to the pasture, they'll see that we have little homes for mason bees, but we also have homes for bumblebees and leaf cutter bees. We'll have a basking shelf for butterflies because they need to warm up before they can go out and do their job. So people will be able to not only walk through the pasture, but observe bees and participate in different ways as citizen scientists, things like that. So it's a real educational experience. It's an artistic experience. And ultimately, I hope it's just an incredibly fun experience. So people can really learn about what they can actively do to create change.